And we have several breaking news stories at this hour on this Friday. Starting in Rochester, crews are on the scene of a home explosion on Pullman Avenue. Investigators tell us one person was injured in this and two other nearby homes caught fire over the explosion. We'll have much more on that in just a moment. Thank you for joining us here on News 8 First at 4. I'm Natalie Kuchko. We are monitoring that explosion in the city. But first, we begin with a triple shooting in Brighton. We do have team coverage at this hour. News 8's Gio Battaglia is standing by in Rochester at that home explosion scene. Meantime, Ryan Hermanet joins us live now from Hollyvale Drive in Brighton, where 3 people are confirmed dead at this hour, and what the police chief is calling a, quote, terrible case of domestic violence. And Ryan, you just heard from police in the last hour. What have you learned?
Yes, Natalie, I did. Good evening. We first arrived on scene here at around 1 this afternoon. At that time, multiple law enforcement agencies were here at a house that's further down the street here on Hollyvale Drive in Brighton. Brighton Police Chief David Catholdi says that they first responded here at around noon, initially for a welfare check. This is when they found a person bleeding from a gunshot wound on the porch. This, of course, prompted police to check inside the house, where they found 2 more people who were also shot. All 3 of them have since died from their injuries. Their specific ages have not been released at this time, but we're told that 2 are adults and 1 is a, quote, younger person. We spoke with Chief Catholdi about what happened here.
We're still in the preliminary stages of the investigation. There is no threat to the community that we are aware of. The same questions that you have, I have. We want to make sure that we answer all the questions. Our thoughts go out to the families affected. Preliminarily, and obviously information changes, it just looks like a terrible case of domestic violence is what this looks like.
Now, again, it's important to note this is still a very active investigation. Police are still on scene here, as you can see. We're expected to learn more details here shortly, but we'll be sure to keep you updated on that on News 8 at 5 and 6. For now, reporting live on Hollyvale Drive in the town of Brighton, Ryan Hermanet, News 8. Natalie, back to you in the studio.
Ryan, thanks very much for those details. Just a horrific scene in that area, not far from Brighton High School either, worth noting. And Ryan will have much more coming up on News 8 at 4:30. Turning now to that home explosion on Pullman Avenue in the city. This hours-long scene is still active at this time. The smoke just billowing for what seemed like miles this afternoon. We're going to send things right over to Gio Battaglia now, live at the scene. And Gio, what can you tell us?
Natalie, when firefighters first got on scene at around 1:30, that's when they declared that this was a home explosion. One person was in the house at the time and was able to self-evacuate, and they were taken to the hospital for burn injuries. We got to the scene around the same time as fire crews, and about 2 miles from Pullman Avenue. You could start to smell the smoke and see it in the air. It was hard to see as we got closer to the scene and the home, and quickly became hard to breathe. As for the adjacent homes, no one was home at the time of the explosion, but I did speak with one neighbor who told me her husband was walking their dog when he heard the explosion. She told me a little bit about what happened, and we also heard more from fire crews.
My husband was standing outside with our dog. He just got the dog in from outside, and all of a sudden, boom, and he ran out. Smoke is everywhere. He left our front door open. So there's smoke in the house right now. He didn't even have a coat on. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Oh my God, I hope he's all right.
Yes.
I don't know what his name is, but
the property at 250 Pullman Ave exploded. The exterior wall sheared the gas line of 256 Pullman Avenue. So companies are currently working on getting that gas line cut off, and they currently have a line in place to control the free-flowing gas. 244 also caught on fire. Companies made it inside and were trying to extinguish that fire, but due to the extent of the fire, we had to evacuate and fight that fire defensively.
And firefighters tell us that there was still free-flowing natural gas coming from one of the homes next door, which RG&E was working to shut off. I did check in with them to see how that is looking and am waiting for a response. Reporting from Pullman Avenue, Gio Battaglia, News 8. Natalie, back to you.
All right, Gio, thank you very much for those updates. We will have live reports again coming up at the top of the half hour.